All right. Really appreciate you taking time out of your morning, Saturday morning, that is, to really, talk to us about your experiences. So I'm not going to introduce you. I'll give you that honor. So if you could tell me your name, where you are from, and what it is that you do, we can get started.
My name is Saunya Jones. I'm from Pittsburgh, PA, and I'm an HR office manager in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay, HR. I know that is vast. That can mean a lot of things, different functions, and okay. So let's just sort of like hone in, you specifically, your particular role, what it is that you do for, relating to HR.
Okay, so HR stands for Human Resources. So I'm a Human Resources Manager, and currently at the company that I'm at, I oversee the onboarding, training and development, payroll and benefits, compensation, and I also manage the office. So I handle all of the restocks and employee relations. So if the employees want something new in the office or they want to do something, I'm the person that they come to with any questions or concerns that they have. And I love it. So.
There it is. I mean, you sum it up. I love it. I love to see the enthusiasm in terms of, when folks are speaking about what it is they do. That's wonderful. All right, so let's get to it. It's time. We need to understand the day you walked out of high school to you today, HR, office manager, all the things that sort of come in, with that. We need to understand what happened in between. We need to understand,
Yes.
all the steps, your journey. Basically, we want to understand and hear your path.
Okay. So I actually graduated high school in Pittsburgh. I went to the Neighborhood Academy, which is a college preparatory school. And in school, they highlighted my strengths and they were like, oh, you would be great as a counselor, like you're really good with people. And so I thought that I wanted to be like a therapist or a counselor. So when I went off to college, initially I didn't want to go to college, but they were like, you're going to college. So I was like, okay, I'm going to college. So I went, and I was like, well, I'm here. I got to finish. I got to pick something. So my first semester, I took a whole bunch of like classes like psychology, sociology, and different things like that. And I loved sociology. I loved studying people. I loved studying society, and I also loved psychology, just for learning like mental health and just things like that because I love getting to know people. I love learning people and behaviors and all that. So I majored in sociology and minored in psychology. Um, when I graduated with my bachelor's, I went on and I applied for a master's program in counseling. And I remember I was 24 and I sat on my aunt's couch when I got accepted. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to be a
Wow.
counselor. I don't like I care to help people with their problems, but is that something that I want to do as a career for the rest of my life? It's not. So I did some research and I looked into different things like what could I do with the skills and strengths that I have. I know that I'm good with people. I know that I'm good at like helping people grow businesses and things because I actually had started my own business at that age as well. So I enrolled at Robert Morris for the organizational development program. And I did a year of that program online, and then my laptop got stolen.
Oh,
During that time, I was working as like a residential counselor at Family Links, and I was making like $10 an hour. So I was actually working two jobs. Um, I started at Family Links as a residential counselor, working with people in rehabilitation from drugs and alcohol, and I enjoyed that. And then I became a foster youth and homelessness caseworker because I have a history in foster care. So a lot of the connections that I had enabled me to get into different roles with different organizations. So I became a case manager, then I became a transitional life skills coach for homeless youth. And while I loved doing that work, I love being able to help create programs for youth and being a part of their growth and development. I knew that I wanted to do more. I needed to do more. And at that age, I didn't know what my path was, and I wanted to find it. So I left Pittsburgh on a trek to find myself, and I drove to Arizona.
Wow.
To I drove to Arizona to stay with my best friend for 7 months. And I prayed about it, and I was like, "Where am I supposed to be at? What am I supposed to do?" And so that brought me to North Carolina. And I ended up going to school for massage therapy. It was a journey. I ended up going to school for massage therapy, and I do still work part time as a massage therapist. Um, so I went to school for massage therapy, and I also ended up getting a job as a foster care caseworker here. At that job is where I learned all the skills that I needed to help me to become an HR manager, and I'll tell you how. In that role, it was a very small company. They were 10 years old, and they needed a lot of growth and development. They needed help with policy development. They needed help with the youth. They just needed a lot of help in all different areas. And a lot of times that's what happens in nonprofits. So I wore a lot of different hats, and it helped me to figure out what I really wanted to do and where I really could see myself fitting in at. But I will say that human resources isn't like the easiest field to like get your foot in the door. And I kind of like the company that I'm at right now is a growing company, and I'm their first HR manager. So I'm helping to develop a lot of policies and procedures that they don't have, which is, how I got the job by talking about my experience that I had as a case manager. So I was a case manager for 4 years, and then I quit because I wanted to do more. I was working with the population 18 to 24, and I loved it. I still love them. I still volunteer at the organization, but it was the money. And this is something that I wish that people would have told me when I was younger, was to seek a career that's going to sustain your lifestyle and that you'll be able to make money with during like inflation and like just fluctuations of life. And working in the field that I was in a nonprofit, I had to work 2 jobs for years in order to live by myself. Um, so while it was heartbreaking, I had to leave, and I got into tech. And I did that for about 6 months, and I did not like it at all. I did not like working remote. I didn't like it. So I started seeking something else, and I was like, I want to work with people. I don't want to do anything that's creative because I want to save my creativity for myself.
Mm.
What can I get into that will allow me to do the things that I'm good at, but that won't drain me when I get off of work? And human resources was it. I'm the company that I work for. I can't say what company I work for, but the company that I work for, a lot like I'm surrounded by creative people, but I'm not involved in the creative process. I'm involved in helping them get their needs met as far as what they want to see in the office, and I'm helping to keep everything organized. And I'm basically working as like the assistant to the owner, but I don't have to be involved in the creative process, and I get to keep that to myself because I am a creative person also in my side business. So I love what I do. I've been there for like 3 weeks now, and just the opportunities that I see in the future are just great. They're huge. So yeah, that's my trajectory.
You said something that was very, very interesting. You said that you didn't want to do a creative job because you want to keep your creativity for yourself. That is profound.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
You said that. I'm thinking like, wow, like, because I get it. A lot of times, people go and they, give so much of themselves, to this firm, and it's just like, it's like you don't necessarily get the same sort of recognition as you would, as an individual, and if it sort of gets
Mhm.
absorbed into the firm and what that firm is opposed to you sort of said it. I mean, there's sort of, I guess, positives and negatives to that, but for you to be able to acknowledge that, like, you know what, like, I am a creative person, but there's things I want to do personally that I want to be able to save my ideas and things like that to really represent me, opposed to representative of a firm that I just work for. So thank you for
Mhm.
sharing. That was really, really profound. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool. And you had a hell of a journey.
I my supervisor, I worked for a digital marketing agency before this job, and she used to always say, ideas are money, ideas are money. We have to give the best ideas. We have to give our clients the best. And I'm like, these ideas are money. I need to be keeping them for myself. Like, these are my ideas, and I'm not making as much from these ideas as these companies will be making from these ideas. So let me take the skills that I'm learning from this agency and apply it to my own business so that I can make that money that y'all are saying that these ideas are worth. So yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's dope. That's dope. Cool. Cool. So, it's coming. We got to go there. And, I'm not going to ask you how much you make, but you highlighted a couple, when on your journey, you highlighted a couple different things in terms of when you first got started, with the $10 an hour. And then, the idea that you had to work multiple jobs just to be able to sustain, like, the lifestyle that, you sort of wanted to. If people are thinking about this field, like just sort of walking in, and like I said, I know the field is vast. Where should they be looking at from a range as it relates to sort of like salary and like compensation when you're like sort of walking in, HR? Like, what do you think about that?
So as a manager, um, at a small company right now, I do fairly well, but um, you could make more at a bigger company. So starting out, you would start as like an HR assistant and then move up to like a generalist. And I would say for an HR assistant, you could be making, depending on location, you could be making like 50,000 a year. Whereas when I started out straight out of college, I was only making 30.
Right.
Probably less than that. Um, yeah, probably less than that. I was making like $10 an hour. And then when I got my actual first like big girl job, I was only making 30,000 a year. And I could have been making more than that, had I been educated that there were different options. So for a person who's seeking to get into human resources, um, you could definitely start off at like 45, 50,
Got
depending on your location. Yeah.
got it. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let's get back to you.
Did the camera freeze?
You're good. I can still hear you. So you know how it is, technical difficulties. As long as we can still communicate, you can hear me, I can hear you. We should be good.
Can you
Um,
hear me?
yeah, we good. We good money.
Okay.
So like I said, I wanted to kind of circle back to you and I want to understand, you've already explained your journey up to this point. So now we want to understand at least what you're thinking about in terms of your journey from today, I mean, a year, 5 years, 10 years from now. We just want to try to get an understanding on what's the horizon, what's your goals, what are your plans from this point?
So what I would love for people to know about human resources is that there are so many different sub niches in human resources. You could go into employee relations, you can go into compensation and benefits. And I want to focus on employee relations. I love planning events. I love making sure that people are heard and happy. And that's what I want to do. And also being in this role, I've done a lot of research on the potential. You could go on to be an HR director or senior vice president of human resources. And that's what I see myself doing. If I don't, focus on just strictly doing my business for myself full time, I would love to be like the vice president of human resources and really play a big role in a company helping the employees have the best experience because like we make these companies run. So
Right.
we have to take care of the people that are helping us to achieve those goals.
Got it. I got it. I love it. Vice president, there it is. I see it. I see it. You definitely on the way. So, thank you. Thank you for sharing, your plan. So, well, like I said, I'm sure that, you'll be there. So woman, Black woman, HR, your role, your field, your industry, what do you think about that? How has it impacted? Has it impacted? What are your general thoughts around that?
Yeah, like I said, I've been in this role for about 3 weeks, and I love it because it's like a role of like authority, and it's a role that we are helping. We are also we make decisions, and I love that the people who are under me, as like staff and employees are under me, they know that they can come to me and they can get their voices heard. They can, complain if they need to, and they can get, answers if things are or aren't going the way that they need them to in order for them to be successful and happy in the roles that they have somebody to advocate for them. And so I'm grateful to be able to be in a position like this. And I actually had a conversation with a young lady, and she was asking me for advice on getting a job. And she wanted to go into social services. And she was just like, I love people and I love helping people. And I was like, just know that like human services, like working with like different populations, underserved populations, isn't the only way that you can help. Like that is something that they want Black women to do and to feel like that they're worthy of. They don't tell us about the roles that can get us paid. They don't tell us about the roles that, not saying that the roles at like nonprofits working in like the community and stuff are not important, because I did it for 10 years. It's definitely important. But when you start to realize that you can have more impact in these corporations and these businesses, and you can make money doing it, and you don't have to be like bottom tier, as far as like staff. You can be a director, you can be a manager, you can be an executive director, you can be the top. You don't have to stay at the bottom. And that's something that I'm grateful that I now have the power to share with people. Like, yeah, I'm a manager now, and they wanted to try to keep me at like a specialist level. I'm not a specialist anymore. Like my word has power. I have power, and I can implement change and be effective at it. Like, and so that's what I want other young Black women and older Black women to know. Like, we deserve more. So.
Oh, that was excellent. Excellent. No, I mean, that was, you know, and then, we sort of touched upon that, before we started, our interview, and just in terms of, someone being able to kind of just pour that into you, share that insight, share that sort of wisdom, and how, having like an actual person be able to, be that sort of, resource for you could really change the decisions you make, at sort of
Absolutely.
every, step of the way. So it's just like, it's so important for, people like yourself to be able to be that, that person that someone could go and talk to, like, hey, the options are here. You just got to be able to just, kind of navigate through them. So I definitely appreciate you, just taking it upon yourself to give back in that manner, because it's absolutely, absolutely needed. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes. And thank you
Okay.
for the opportunity to,
Oh yeah, yeah, no doubt. Like this is great. So I only got one more thing for you, and you've answered it in a variety of different ways, but I just wanted to see if you have anything else to sort of add. HR just as a field, is this something that you would encourage others to pursue?
yes, absolutely. Especially if you see yourself as somebody who likes helping people. And like I said, there are many different things. And also I will say that it's a low stress job. When I was working in human services, I loved it. I love being able to help the youth and to be in the community and do all those things. But the stress and just like the mental and emotional impact that it had on my health, it wasn't good. Whereas now it's like I'm able to do exactly what I know that I'm put here to do, which is help people. but I don't bring work home with me now. I don't like I can come home and I can live my life and I'm not worried about what's going on at work. Um, it's low stress and I mean depending on where you work, I guess. But for me
Right.
it's it's a low stress job. Um, and you get paid for the work that you're putting in. Working like I love working in nonprofit. Okay, no shade, but you don't get paid for the amount of work that you put in a lot of times. And I feel like this is a way for you to feel like you're getting back what you're putting in a sense. And also just the fact that you have different areas that you can get into, like just different areas like employee relations, like I was saying before, employee relations, conversations, and benefits. There are just so many different things. I can't think of them off the top of my head. There are like 7 different categories in human resources that you can get into. So you can just pick and just explore and have fun.
I dig it. I dig it. And thank you for that. And, and I'm definitely not claiming to be any sort of HR expert or anything like that, but it's just really interesting to hear you mention HR in a sort of and reference it in a sense of, I'm in HR because I like to help people. It's like when people think about HR, they think about, oh, well, these are the people who basically hire us. Like, what I mean, that like hire people and do interviews and different things like that. And, just, the way you explained it in a way that you sort of explained
Yeah.
the role is it's just really different. So it's really sort of refreshing to see that sort of, alternate perspective.
And that's another thing too, and I'm glad you brought that up, is that being a part of the hiring process, I get to implement different things in that. That's another thing. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a part of human resources. So if I'm working at a company and I don't see a lot of people that look like me, now I'm a part of the team that is hiring more people who may be qualified and overlooked because of what they look like. And so that's a very important role to have. And then like I believe like recruiting is kind of like HR. I'm not sure. I've been doing research on that, but just like I get to help people advocate for themselves, like with these jobs. Like, yeah, absolutely, it's a part of like a lot of people do think of human resources as just hiring, but there's so much more to it than that, especially if you have somebody that really cares about your professional and your professional development and growth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, clearly that's you. I mean, you made that, very, very clear that that's you. And, we definitely, small, large, organizations just across the board, we definitely need more people who don't look at, HR as just sort of like functions, but, see that there are people on the end and, being able to sort of help those people achieve whatever it is they're looking to achieve, helps the company overall. Like I said, HR is a lot of, seems a little cold sometimes, it's just like, hey, and like I said,
Yeah.
kind of function like, hey, here it is. And, but like you're taking a different, more human like approach and, definitely, I'm sure that, the firm that you're with, even though you just started, definitely going to appreciate this sort of, that aspect of life and work that you're going to bring. So
Yeah.
dope.
Like I'm just
Excellent.
being able to help the well-being of the staff. Like right now, like I've been there for a couple of weeks and it's like, I want them to feel acknowledged. I want them to feel appreciated. We do breakfast every Monday, lunch every Wednesday, healthy snacks. Like, I want y'all to feel like, we care about you personally. Work-life balance. Don't come on here after 5. You know what I mean? Like go and take care of your family and take care of yourself. And to be honest with you, I would love if I could do HR in like a nonprofit setting, that would be love for me because like I really do I love the like the type of things that nonprofit organizations work on as far as helping people. That's something that I've been looking into lately of being like an operations manager of
Mhm.
a nonprofit organization. So yeah, it's gonna come.
Yo, absolutely. I see it, and I can hear it. I'm sure that, audience can hear it as well. It's definitely coming. But yeah, that's all I got. I don't know if there's anything that you think that I didn't ask or anything that you feel like I maybe didn't cover, or if there's anything you want to just leave, out in space, like the gems. I mean, you dropped a ton, but is there anything that, you wanted to like make sure that people sort of understood and took away from this?
Yeah, for any young person who may be watching this, explore all your options. When I was 18, I worked at an internship as an executive assistant. I didn't really know where that could have led me, and I took what everybody else said that I was good at, and I took that as a career path. And it wasn't until I got older when I sat and thought, what do I want to do? Like what do I see me doing like when I'm like, in my 40s, like what do I really see me doing? So far, discover your path for yourself and follow that, whatever that looks like. And ask questions. Um, and just, do research because had I did more research, I probably would have known about this sooner, but life is life and we love it however it goes. So yeah.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. Hopefully, these sort of conversations that we're having, maybe this can be something that someone can see that might be that spark, that catalyst that sort of puts them on their path, maybe a few years earlier. So
Yeah.
so it's all about. But like I said, definitely want to be respectful of your time. It is a Saturday morning, shifting into afternoon. I know you got a lot of cool stuff to do down in the Carolinas. So no, this was great. We definitely want to make sure that we stay sort of connected just to see, how things go with the firm and all the cool things that you're going to bring. But yeah, we got to do this again sometime.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This was cool.
Oh no, thank you. This was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend and thanks again.
All right. Talk to you later.
Take care.